Ableton Push 3 is one of the most powerful standalone sampling workstations. Having most of the sampling features that we have in Live is actually pretty amazing for a standalone sampler, and I'm having a lot of fun flipping samples on it. So I'm gonna quickly explain what makes it so powerful, and I'm also gonna break down how my super simple standalone beatmaking setup works. And as always, we're gonna check out a couple of beats that I've made that I started with samples. So the most important feature of Push that makes it a super powerful sampler is the fact that it has almost the full warping functionality of Ableton Live, including the auto warping that can analyze a sample and sync it to the project's tempo, even if the sample isn't perfectly cropped, or even if it has some slight tempo variations. So if you record a sample and it's not synced, you just hit this edit button and choose warp to grid. And there you go. The sample is now synced thanks to the warping algorithm in the audio clips. But we also have warping in the actual sampler. Note that I'm not talking about time stretch in general, like time stretch for audio clips or offline time stretch. I'm specifically referring to real-time time stretch, as you're triggering the sample with MIDI. And again, this is a feature of Simpler in Ableton Live, which allows you to play a chopped loop at any tempo, or even play a rhythmic sample chromatically, so pitching it up and down, and it will still keep it in sync. And this is important because you can pitch the sample to a particular key and still keep the same tempo. And so this is super simple. You just have to make sure the sample is cropped to a certain number of bars, like 1, 2, 4, 8, etc. And then just hit warp as whatever number of bars, and it will play in sync, even if you transpose the sample or change the tempo of the project. And with Live's complex and complex pro warping algorithms, it sounds actually pretty good. Another small thing I like about Push 3 is that when chopping, you don't have to convert the sample to a chopped sample like you need to do on Machine or MPC. You just switch to slice mode in Simpler, adjust your slicing settings, and there you go. You're instantly ready to play and record.
When you say goodbye, I close my eyes, I can't sleep. Should have known.
So anyway, I know people enjoy tinkering with these convoluted setups where they connect and sync multiple sequencers, synths, and effects. However, I'd rather keep it simple and focus on the actual music. So I've added only 2 devices to my Push 3 standalone setup. These are a MIDI keyboard and an iPad. I used to use my old Complete Control S49 Mark II on some of the sessions, but I switched to this Roland keyboard because the old Complete Control couldn't send MIDI to both Push and the iPad simultaneously. And I will explain in a moment why I need this, but the newer MK3 version of this keyboard, this one right here, can do that, but I use it here for my main setup with my computer, and it wouldn't fit under the table of my Push 3 setup anyway. So this is the Roland A49 keyboard. It's super basic, but I don't really need any advanced features, just keys and the stick for modulation and pitch bend. So it's connected to the iPad via USB with the USB to Lightning adapter. So yes, this is a very old iPad Pro, but the benefit of using it is that it has that good old analog audio output, aka the headphone jack. Man, I still can't forgive Apple for removing it from their newer mobile devices. Not having it really sucks. So the keyboard is powered from the iPad, and I can play the sounds from the Core Gadget app with the keyboard. And since the audio output of the iPad is connected directly to the input on the back of Push 3, I can just create an audio track on Push and record my parts as audio. But the keyboard is also connected to the MIDI input of Push via a regular MIDI cable and a 3.5mm adapter. So it's pretty cool. When I have record enabled on an audio track, I'm recording instruments from the iPad with the keyboard. Or also I'm using it to record samples from old songs to start my beats from. This is how I sample. When I'm on a MIDI track, I'm just automatically playing the internal synths and instruments inside Push. It's just super simple, super easy without any switching or any additional steps like having to sequence the iPad instruments with MIDI on Push. I just record the iPad stuff directly as audio. And the classic sounds from Core Gadget complement really well the sounds on Push. So I use some of the drum kits on Push and some of the acoustic instruments that come from Ableton's stock packs. But for synths, I mostly use my own packs as they worked perfectly on Push. Cheeky plug, but link in the description if you haven't checked these packs out yet. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole setup, because Push 3 is so powerful, it has so much stuff inside of it, I don't really need much gear around it. And for speakers, I use the IK Multimedia iLoud micro monitors, and these sound pretty amazing for their size. So yeah, pretty nice speakers, although they sometimes struggle with deeper kick drums at louder volumes, but the bass extension on them is pretty incredible for their size. Like I've said before, I don't really have a problem with the lack of arrangement view on Push. I wouldn't use it anyway. I arrange and mix on my computer, and here's how this last beat turned out after I was done with it. So here is another Push 3 sampling video you can watch. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this one, subscribe if you are new here, and I will catch you later.